To get started on the banding, we're just going to start off on the inside just like so, the white, and then we come back around like a racetrack, and then essentially we just keep adding more colors, and you can see that there's no rounded edge on this side, so we're starting here, coming all the way back around the corner and then back just like so, and then a gray again. So when you're attaching this around a container, all you're just going to do then is put the rounded edge over the other one to really clean it up and make it look really sharp. So when you're doing this, you just have to adjust the sizes of the chains to match your project. For example, this here is not big enough in order to go around the container this way, so I would have to add more chains in order to do it. So the pattern calls for a certain amount of chains, just happens to fit this particular container going in this direction, but again, that's subject to your own creativity. So let's start off with the slip knot just like so, and today I'm using a 4.5 millimeter or a size H crochet hook. The pattern calls for size 4 millimeter, and that's a size G. You just have to make sure that the hook complements the yarn. Today's yarn choices I'm using are Red Heart with Love, and this is a really premium acrylic yarn. I really love the colors of the complete line. So what we have today is I'm following the wide band version, and you will see that it is asking for chaining of 62. That chaining of 62 is subject to what you need to wrap. So if 62 is too long, then don't make it 62. Make it whatever size chains fit around your container. And of course, if it's too short, then you just make it longer. So we're just going to wrap and pull through. So I'm not going to drag you through all 62. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'm going to go the 62 as it asks for. You go the size that you want to do in order to match your container. So I'll meet you back up when you have your chain done. So now I have my 62 done, and it says single crochet in the second chain from the hook and single crochet in each chain across, and that equals 61 single crochets. Here's what I want to show you though. See how we're always looking at the stitches and we can identify where the stitches are? This is my tip for you. Go 1, 2, okay, and then flip it over and look for the back side, which is the one bump that is coming up. That's where I want you to stick your hook. I want you to turn that chain upside down, and that's where I want you to do a single crochet. So once you turn it over, these bumps stick out like a sore thumb. So you see the next bump, and I want you to do that because what's going to happen is that when we're working with this, remember how I said we're going to go around like a racetrack? Well, this is going to make a really nice center finishing if you do it this way versus chaining any other way. So this is just a really great idea in order to really keep your stitch work looking really sharp, and because you're giving it away probably as a gift, you want it to look the best that you possibly can. So keeping that chain turned over on the underside, what's going to happen is that this side now looks like it's finished just like the other side, and it's a way of really making your chains look great. So continue to single crochet all the way across your line, and just meet back up in just a few moments. We're going to turn around and do the racetrack all the way back. So we're coming up all the way back to where we started on the chain, and this is where we're going to do the racetrack configuration. So I'm just going to single crochet my very last one in, and essentially what's going to happen is that we're going to turn the corner and come down the other side, which is kind of unusual, right? If you're doing an Afghan, we just keep going back and forth, but this time we want to actually circle right underneath it. So what we're going to do is just chain 1, and then we're going to come into the very same stitch that we just did, and we're going to single crochet 3 more times. So that's going to make us turn the corner. And then what we're going to do is just chain 1 again, and then coming back in, we want to come back into the first one that's available. So we've already done this one here. We want to come to the first one. This is the straggler, so what we want to do is just lay it on top there, and essentially we just want to trap it underneath so that you'll never see the stop and the start of this particular project. Just a great way of hiding in your loose ends. So essentially what's going to happen now is that this is the underside that you did, and because I asked you to turn over that chain and do it the way you did, you can see that the stitches are very, very clearly marked. If you didn't do it and you just did a traditional way, you will only see one string, but you will see that here it's a nice tight finish right to the center point by doing it the way that I suggested. So this is just a great idea. So let's go all the way back to the other side, and I'll meet you back up in a few seconds where I will have this complete and ready to move on, because we're ready now to change color. Now I've come all the way back, and now I'm just going to finalize off my final stitch, and I don't want to finish it at this point. Normally I would just single crochet that so it's done, but in order to change colors you cannot finish. You have to leave that extra loop on, because when you finish this stitch you want to grab your new color. In my case it'll be gray. Just put it onto your hook and pull through, and that completes that stitch, and now we're ready to turn. Now off camera I've already trimmed this pink yarn here, and essentially I want to crochet that into position. So we're just gonna move it around the top here and just prepare now to do the next line, and let's pull all of our stitch work nice and tight and begin the next process. To begin row number 3, it says to chain 2, which does not count as a stitch from here on and throughout, and it says half double crochet into the first 61 stitches and working around the end 2 single crochet stitches in each of the 3 stitches, and then half double crochet all the way back. So let's simplify what we're saying here. So it says we need to chain 2, and this does not count as a stitch. So essentially in the rules you would just jump immediately to the next one available. We do not want to do that because we're just chaining up. And I want to grab these stragglers and I want to position them on the very top. So we're just gonna wrap now, and we're gonna come into the same stitch that we just were in, and we want to do a half double crochet. So remember, we just wrap and pull through all 3. So we're keeping those stragglers down on the top of the line. So here's the next part here. So we're just keeping those stragglers in, and essentially now we just want to work our way. So we wrap first and half double crochet ourselves all the way to the other side. Okay, and don't turn the corner, just wait for me, because I'm gonna show you how to turn the corner and then come back down the other side as we're coming around the underside of this. So just half double crochet to the remainder of this line, and then we'll turn the corner together and get you started on your way back. So we're coming now to where we're gonna go around the racetrack, around the corner, and essentially we just want to come up to the very last stitch, just like so. Now we do have the chain 1 in there, we're not gonna worry about this, but remember the 3 that went around on the last post? That's exactly where we want to play, and we're gonna do 2 single crochets into each of those, so there'll be a total of 6 single crochets going around. Okay, and then this is the final. And so I just kind of turned over naturally, and essentially we just want to come in the very first stitch available again, and we're gonna half double crochet again. So we're just gonna half double crochet ourselves now all the way back to the starting point. We're gonna finalize this color off and switch to another one as per the instructions. So that would be how you go around the corner, and see how perfect that looks? It looks amazing. So let's carry on to the next part. So we're now just coming up to the edge, and we're half double crocheting all the way, and then we're gonna fasten off in just a moment. We are gonna leave this as is right now. We're gonna introduce white as our color, and again there is no ties, just loop it and just drag it through to finalize off the final crochet, and this is how you would change color normally anyway. So let's just grab our scissors and cut the remainder of that gray off so that we can hide those perfectly, and essentially we just need to move it around the back. It's out of mind, and essentially just get everything ready. So we're just gonna pull the string that's available from the yarn ball, put it in my hand, and we want to put the 2 on top just like so. So we want to basically just repeat exactly what we've done. Now with this, because it is a wide band, we're gonna go a little wider. You can stop at any point to make it easier for you. So we're gonna chain up 2, and remember that does not count as a stitch from here on throughout, and we just want to begin to the first one. Make sure those stragglers are on the top before pulling it through. So just go around in, get those stragglers on top so they get trapped, and essentially just half double crochet yourselves. When we get to the turnaround point, I'll show you what to do there, and then we'll carry on to finalizing this project off. So we now come to the part where we're going to turn the corner, and this is what I need you to look for. You're going to notice that, remember in the last row that we had 2 singles, 2 singles, and 2 singles with a total of 6 stitches. So what the pattern's asking you to do is that for the first 2 you're going to put a half double crochet, 2 of them into each one of those. So there's 1 and 2 into the 1 stitch. The next one there's going to be 1 and 2, and so then for the next 2 is just going to be by itself. So this will be the middle group of the 3, so that was 1 half double crochet. The next one is going to be 1 half double by itself, and then the final 2 stitches that you have here are each going to be 2 half double crochets inside as you turn the corner. So if that makes any sense, there was a total of 6 stitches underneath. So the first one got 2 half doubles, the next 2 are by themselves with a half double, and then the final 2 got 2 each, and that makes sense. So now essentially you're just gonna half double yourself all the way down, and then finalize off as we finish off this color and add in the final color, which is row number 5. Okay, we're just finishing up here and we're just half double crocheting into the final, and remember we do not want to finish this off, so we want to add in our final color. I'm gonna add it back to the hot pink again, and essentially I want to turn my work, and I've already trimmed my white yarn off camera as well, and I just want to move the stragglers in behind. It's just easier to access them from behind. It keeps them out of the way of your work. And essentially now we want to begin, and what we have here is that we are going to chain one and then just single crochet. So we're gonna chain one and then just grabbing these stragglers, just put them on top, and we're just going to single crochet ourselves to the point that we're gonna turn the corner. So just single crochet yourselves, and we'll meet back up at the turning corner and I'll show you what to do there, and then we're gonna just finalize the band off. And remember, you can add more strips if you would prefer the band to even be wider, and then of course you don't have to do as many if you'd like a nice thin band as well. The creativity is really up to you. So I'll meet you at the corner and we'll turn around and then come back. So we're coming back up to where we're gonna turn around, and I have not told you to count the stitches as per it says in the pattern because I want to show you a little trick. You don't really need to. And essentially I just want you to continue to single crochet, and I wanted to show you a little tip here. So right here, okay, these two two crochets right here that they're separate from the others, I want you to pay attention to those, because essentially what I'm gonna have you do is that we're not gonna count our stitches as going all the way down the row, but if you look for that you can actually just determine what you want to do. So essentially this is what I would do. So you're gonna single crochet yourselves, okay, until the point where we're gonna start turning the corner. So on the second one here, you see how we passed the first group of two. On the second one here I would go and do the single crochet up until you get to the second one, okay, and then that's where you're gonna put your first group of two. So two single crochets. The next one will be on its own for a single crochet by itself, and then this one here will be two single crochets again. The next one will be single, and then the next one will be two. And then essentially that's all you need to do, and then you can do the bend. Now we're just gonna single crochet ourselves now all the way back to the other side. So if you can just get where I've just showed you how to do that, you really don't have to count your stitches all the way across, because as you can see now it's just balanced out pretty perfectly and it looks great too. So single crochet yourselves all the way to the end where you're gonna fasten off and call this band complete for this part of this tutorial, and then let's move on to the snowflake pattern next. Okay, once you get all the way back to the start again, we're just gonna single crochet ourselves right to the edge, just like so, and now we're gonna fasten off. At this particular point I'm just gonna cut enough string so I can put it into a darning needle at this point, and I just want to put the loop back on my hook, okay, and just pull up like this. And essentially all I just need to do is just insert my darning needle on, and we don't want these loose ends to fall out. So what I want you to do is come back from the same direction you came from and just weave yourself inside the stitches for about an inch to up to 2 inches long. So just coming on the inside and pulling it through like that, kind of pull snug, and then we just come into a different part and go back in the same direction that we just came from under through the stitches. Because it's the same color you won't really see it much, just like so. And then finally to finish it off we're gonna go back in the same direction. You notice I never go back in the same hole that I came out of, because it's kind of redundant to do that, because you need it to wrap around these stitches just like so. So pull it nice and snug, and now you can safely trim off your edges just like so. And now we just have to go back through our project and trim off all the loose ends that were hanging out of the project that we were burying as we went along, and essentially the band is now complete at this particular point once you do that. So it's just a really easy, quick, simple band to do, and again I would throw on a button to make it really last a lot longer instead of a one-time wrapping present. And so that concludes doing the band for this particular one, and that's what we have at this point. To work on the motifs, this is motif number 1 called the loop spokes, and just like what you see here, these actually are not that difficult. The instructions are really intimidating, but in actual fact it's really not that hard once you understand the pattern. Remember that this is always in groups of 6, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what you basically do to one you have to do to the other, and when you understand that it's basically a breeze as you work your way around. So let's begin to do the loop spokes snowflake motif number 1. To begin snowflake number 1, we are going to do an adjustable ring, which is also called the magic circle. Just droop the yarn in front of your fingers like so, and just come up and cross over right here. So essentially we're just gonna slip in our hook on the underside, grab this one here just like so, and we're just gonna pinch everything so that it's a group just like so. So it's a magic ring just like there. So you might have to slow that down. So essentially what it says is to chain 1, so let's chain 1, so that kind of locks it, and essentially we want to play so that these two strings are inside the loop. So it says to single crochet 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, oh, let me try that again, 3, 3, and then we got 4. It's kind of hard to keep a hold of that ring in the very beginning. I will not deny that. This is 5 and 6, just like so. So essentially where is the ring? So you just want to pull on the string that's coming out, and all of a sudden that you'll have this completely turn into a complete circle. And basically it says to slip stitch with the first single crochet, so we just want to slip stitch it to the very first one to form the circle just like so. So that concludes round number 1. As I mentioned in the beginning that we have 6 spokes, that's the 6 different sides of this snowflake. We need to keep a mindful eye that we end up with 6 at these particular stages. So we're gonna go into round number 2, and it says to chain 1, and then it says the 2 single crochets into each stitch going all the way around. So we have to have a total of 12 going all the way around after we're done this, and you can literally see here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means that we have to come into this first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we just have to be mindful that we end up with 6 pieces. Okay, so 2 single crochets into each. Circles are sometimes really difficult to explain on video, but they're really critical for stuff like this where you definitely have to have the right number of sides for it. So we're putting in 2 single crochets into each, coming all the way back around, and then it says to join with the slip stitch. What you want to do is you want to make sure there are 6. So you got 2, 4, and then you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, and then we just join it. So do double check that. It just makes a huge difference on your satisfaction with this project at the end. Let's move along to round number 3. We're simply just going to chain 1, and then it says to single crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then chain 2, and then basically you have the asterisk there, and so we're going to carry on. So let me just show you. The first one is going to be 1 single crochet. So the first stitch is 1 single crochet, and then the next one is 2 single crochets. 1 and 2, and then it says to chain 2, and then it says single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then chain. Okay, 2 again. So the next stitch is going to be a single crochet, and then this one is going to be 2 single crochets, and then chain 2. 1 and 2, and so the next one is 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. When I first started doing this, I thought that was an error in the pattern because I've never seen anything like this, but it does make a huge difference. So after you get your 2 in there together, chain 2, and then come into the next one for 1 single crochet. The next one is 2 single crochets and chain 2. The next one is 1 single crochet. The next one is 2 single crochets, chain 2. Coming into the next one, 1 single crochet. The next one is 2, and essentially we've turned all the way around, so we're going to finalize with chaining 2 and then coming down into the very first one for a slip stitch, just like you see here. So essentially you should have a total of 6 sides to this, so you'll have the chaining 2s just indicating where they all are. So we're now here at this point, and normally in crochet we would be technically ready to start a corner, remember how we've been doing single crochet and then 2 single crochets into the same. What that means is that there's a total of 3 single crochets going in between each of the corners. It makes a difference when I explain it to you that way. So let's start off with our instructions. We're gonna chain 1 immediately right where we've joined. Let's come down for a single crochet, and then we immediately just skip the next one and go to the next one over. It's the 3rd one in a row, like so. Just like you see. So it says single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the next chain 2 space, which is this corner piece right here. So we're gonna single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So let's begin our pattern again. So the very first is gonna be 1 single crochet. We skip the middle one and immediately go to the 3rd one for a single crochet, and then essentially we come to the next corner again. So it's 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet in. Okay, so there's the pattern. So the first one is single crochet, we skip the next one, go to the 3rd, single crochet, you're back in the corner again. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in. And essentially it's now making these spokes even bigger. So carry that same configuration going around. So single crochet, skip to the next, go to the 3rd, single crochet, you're on the next corner again. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, first one, single crochet, skip the middle one, go to the last one, single crochet, going to the next chain 2 space. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, we go into the first one, and then we skip the middle, go into the last. Like you see, we're now on the next corner. So this is the final corner. So chain single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in, and essentially now we just want to join it with the beginning single crochet to finalize off that round. So all those instructions were really quite simple when you look at it from the perspective of basically what happens on one side has to happen to all of the rest. So we're just gonna join it with a slip knot or a slip stitch, just like so. So this is where we are on the project. Let's begin round number 5. We're gonna start off with the chaining of 1, and it says to single crochet into the first stitch and then single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Okay, so we're gonna go into the first one and single crochet, and then it says for the next one it says, well, we're gonna single crochet in, just like so. And so now it says to slip stitch, chain 7, and slip stitch into the chain 2 space. So this is the corner, so we're gonna slip stitch, so pull through and through, and now we're gonna chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then we come back into that same space and slip stitch it, and that creates the loop that we're gonna be working with on the next one. So it says to immediately skip the next stitch, and so then only 3 of these in a row will have a single crochet before we hit to the next edge again. Okay, so this is the next corner here, so we're just gonna slip stitch and then chain 7 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, coming back down into the corner for a slip stitch, and then we immediately skip the first one and then just go into the remaining 3 that are in there. So continue to do that same configuration all the way around. We'll be back up in just a second. We'll carry on to the final round. So we come all the way back around. I've just done the slip stitch on the final, and immediately we just have to join with the slip stitch to the where we started the first single crochet, and that'll conclude off round number 5. So we're now ready for the final round, and you can see the loops are now ready, and I'm gonna trim off my loose end from the beginning here in order to keep it out of the way for the next part of this tutorial. So we're gonna begin round number 6, and we're just gonna simply just chain up 1. Every time we're in between these loops, we're just going to slip stitch our way across. So it doesn't matter which side you're on, you're gonna always do that until you get right over to the loop itself, just like you see. So let's slip stitch all the way across, and then essentially let's play with these loops here, and it says to 3 single crochets, chain 3 times, and then you will notice that there is a bracket of 3 single crochets. Let me explain how that works. So let's put in 3 single crochets first, and now we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and because this is wrapping around a loop, you can just shift these out of the way and move them down. So let's do 3 more single crochets again. Okay, and now I'm going to shift them again. So let's chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, coming back down for 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and now chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So that was the 3 times, and then before the bracket it says 3 single crochets. This is the final 3 single crochets to finish this off. So this will give each one of your spokes 3 points by doing so. So I'm just going to immediately come down into the center pieces again and just slip stitch our way across to the next loop. So by slip stitching you're not adding any extra really layers or anything, so it's keeping it nice and narrowed down into the snowflake so that your spokes really pop out. So if I see this here, you have 1, 2, and 3. So let's review this one more time before I let you go. So it's 3 single crochets, we chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, coming back down into the spoke again. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and again just shift it out of the way, and then chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, coming back down for 3 more single crochets in, and then again 1, 2, and 3 chains, and then just keep shifting, and then the final 3 single crochets in. So you know you're done once you have the 3 spokes. It's almost like the queen's crown on top of the spokes, and then essentially we're going to come back in and just slip stitch our way to the next one. So carry on with that same configuration going all the way around. We're going to finalize this off because this is the final round, and then you can simply just attach this to your band afterward. So I've now come all the way back around, and this is where I started slip stitching when I went across. So we're just simply, you've just finished the last spoke, we just wanted to join it with this slip stitch to finish off, and then essentially we now want to weave in our ends and finish off the snowflake. If you're attaching it to the band, you'll just want to sew right into the center of it. It does suggest that if you would like to add starch to stiffen up your snowflakes, you can do so. You can even use this for a hanging ornament on your tree as well, or any other projects that you wish, by just adding a little bit of stiffener to it. So that would be how you would do snowflake motif number 1 with the loop spokes. The next snowflake is now coming right up. Now let's begin motif number 2, and this is how we're going to start using a 4.5mm crochet hook today. I'm just using Red Heart with Love for this. You can use any yarn that you wish that would really accent your project. So you can see that this one is very similar to the other one that we were just running, and the difference is actually on the outside. So very much the interior of these are very similar, but it's these little nubs on the outside that actually make the world of difference. So no matter which one you're doing, you're still going to end up with an amazing snowflake. So let's begin this tutorial right now. So using any color that you wish, we're going to make an adjustable ring, and it says with desired color make an adjustable ring. So we're just going to slip it over. So see how it is in my fingers, and then we're just going to come up and cross over right at the top there, and I just use my other fingers to stabilize it, and then I just slip in my hook, grab the first one like so, and now I'm just going to carefully grab everything so that you'll see a ring plus the straggler left over. We're going to start off by chaining 1. So just grab the yarn and chain through 1, and now we're going to put 6 single crochets into this ring. So make sure that the 2 strings are on top of each other. Grabbing it is a little bit tricky, but you know, it's like anything, once you get used to it, you're good. So 6 single crochets in. So 1, we got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just like you see, and then essentially just grab this loose end now and pull on it, and it will form that to go in a complete circle. And then we just want to slip stitch it to the beginning, so we just come back and just come to the first one, slip stitch it to the beginning chain 1 area there, and essentially you now have a perfect center ring, and then you can simply just trim this yarn off right now if you wish as well, which I'm going to do off camera. So reviewing the snowflake that we have here, we have 6 equal sides, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that really matters in the center of this because you want to make sure that you have 6 spokes coming out. So that really does make a difference. So in chain, here we go, we're going to do round 2, chain 1, and then 2 single crochets into each and join with the slip stitch in the beginning. So essentially I really look at it here, you need to make sure you have 6, so you can plan yourself in advance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So essentially you can just start, so we're gonna chain 1 and then single crochet 2 times into each one of those, and that'll take you up to 12 single crochets going all the way around. So each one gets 2. And this round is really critical, so you'll want to make sure at the end of this is that you end up with 12 single crochets going all the way around, or you will not have 6 spokes. Just like you see, and they're coming to, and I just want to double count, making sure. So I got group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 times that by 2 equals 12. I just want to slip stitch it now to the beginning to form the ring. So voila, my counts are perfect. So very simply put, we just want to go on to round number 3. It says chain 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the next, and then chain 3 and then repeat the pattern. So let's begin. We're going to chain 1 and then immediately come to the first one, just like you see here. We're going to single crochet, and now the next one is 2 single crochets. So here is the repeat pattern, and now it says to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3. Coming into the very next one available for 1 single crochet, and the next one then will be 2. The reason why they're asking you to do this, because it's kind of unusual, they want a total of 3 stitches going across, and you can't, obviously with only 2 stitches you can't do that unless one has an extra in there. So chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and coming into the next one for a single crochet, and then the next one is going to be 2 single crochets in, which gives you your 3 across. So again 1, 2 and 3, coming down in for 1 single crochet. The next one is 2. Okay, and then 1, 2 and 3, coming in to the next, and then the next one is 2 single crochet, and then 1, 2 and 3, coming into the next. So you want to keep an eye on the number of sides you got. You can see the hexagon is starting to take shape. The next one is going to be 2. So here is your final. So it's going to be 1, 2 and 3. Remember that you already started off with your 1 and then your 2, so you just want to slip stitch this into the beginning single crochet chain, just like see, and basically you now have 6 sides, and you essentially on the corners you should have these loops just like so. Let's move along to your next round. Let's begin round number 4. It says to chain 1, and it says that we're only going to be working with 2, basically the abbreviation are meaning that you're only going to be working with 2 of the 3 single crochets in. So we're going to immediately skip this first one, go to the second and the third to single crochet each, just like I'm doing right now, and then it says to single crochet chain 3 single crochet in the next chain 3 space. So in these corners you're going to single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, coming back in for a single crochet, and it says to skip the next single crochet, which is the next one, and just go into the next 2 for a single crochet each. Okay, so we're on the next corner again. So single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in, and again we skip the first one, go to the next 2 for 1 single crochet each, and then coming in to the corner, so 1 single crochet, chain 3, single crochet into the same one, skip the first one, go into the last 2, 1 each, and then the next corner single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, skip the first one, go into the next 2 for 1 each. Okay, final corner. Is this the final corner? Not yet. 1, 2 and 3. I did that off camera too. I actually thought I was done when I wasn't. Skip the first one, going to the last 2 for single crochets each, coming to this one, so 1 single crochet, chain 3. Okay, and essentially now I can see that I have the extra loop here, so I have gone all the way around, so I simply just want to join this together right there. So essentially this is what we have at this particular point. Okay, this is revolution number 5. It is the final one, and this one is gonna throw you for a loop, but just bear with me because you're gonna learn something new, because I learned something new. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. So we're gonna chain 1, and then it says single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, slip stitch, chain 4, blah 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 blah. So let me just simplify this for you. So we're just gonna single crochet in the first and then into the next 2 stitches. So single in each. We're gonna come to the very first corner, and the first corner we just want to do a slip stitch like so. And now it says to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here's the new stitching that I learned. It's from the second from the hook, so we count back 1 and 2. We're going to wrap the hook and go into that chaining space for a half double crochet. The next one we're gonna do is that we're gonna wrap again, and we're gonna go around this space here for another half double crochet. This is creating the nub that you see. So this is one side of the nub. If you saw my pattern, you got 2 nubs. This is one side. So we immediately slip stitch right into that same corner again, and we start all over again. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and coming to the second from the hook for a half double crochet. Now we come into this chaining space right here, so wrap for another half double crochet, and then we come back down into the corner for a slip stitch. Okay, so we pull through, and now we're just gonna immediately just skip the first one and just single crochet the next 3, and you're back on the next corner. So let me show you this one more time. So we're gonna slip stitch in, chain 4. Okay, second from the hook we're going to half double crochet. The remainder of the chain that we're doing there, we're going to half double crochet around that chain. Okay, and now we immediately come back down into the corner, slip stitch. So that was the first half of the nub. We're gonna start again. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Second chain, half double crochet, and now we're gonna come around that chaining space for another half double crochet. And don't forget, we have to come back down in the corner to slip stitch it to secure it into place. We skip the very first one and just go into the remainder. And you're already following again. I'm just gonna continue to show that one more time. So we immediately just single crochet our way across to the next corner, slip stitch, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, second from the chain is half double crochet. We half double crochet around that chain, same chain. Then we come back down to the corner and slip it. We start again. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, half double crochet into the second chain, half double crochet around the chain, and we come back down into the corner for a slip stitch to secure it into place. So that would be how you do all of the sides. So continue to do that. We'll meet back up in a sec, finish this off, and that'll be this tutorial for today. Once you get the final one in, you're just gonna immediately, you've slip stitched in, and essentially you just want to join it to the beginning, and voila, you've already done this particular one. So you just have to fasten off, and that'll consider your snowflake done. You can starch this if you want to harden it up, and you can also use it as Christmas ornaments on your tree or any other kind of projects you may have in mind.